The New York Jets traveled to San Francisco to play the 49ers for the first Monday night football game of the 2024 NFL season. And I have my favorite pick that I don't think anybody is looking at right now, which is perfect for us. If you're just stumbling onto this new NFL YouTube page for the first time, my name is Peter Appel. And over the last 3 seasons, we are up over 75 units betting on the NFL. So a $100 unit better is up over $7,500 taking all of my plays. And I'm personally going for my fourth straight profitable season. We took the push on our first pick between the Chiefs and the Ravens. We took the under on Thursday night football. And my 5 favorite bets for Sunday are currently live on this channel. But I'm recording this Monday night football video on Friday. So we currently don't have our overall record outside of 0, 0, and 1. But that record will be posted across this channel for every video that you see moving forward. So I hope on that Sunday video we go 5-0, but you never know. And another reminder that this channel is sponsored by BetMGM, the king of sports books. Remember, folks, use code JustGridiron if you are new, because you'll get a first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet loses. So what does that mean? Well, you download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JustGridiron. And when you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager, if it were to lose, you'll get that amount that you put on it up to 1500 back in bonus bet. So it's an absolute no-brainer if you have yet to get BetMGM yet. And this pick is going to be on BetMGM, so it's a good time to take advantage. So without further ado, let's get into my favorite pick for Monday Night Football between the 49ers and the New York Jets. And while I do have a slight lean to the 49ers at -4.5 and a slight lean to the under 44 on the full game, we're not talking about totals or spreads. I want to attack a player prop that I think has the most value in this entire game. Can you do me a favor? Close your eyes for a second. I'm closing my eyes too. What's the first thing you think about when you think of San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy? Are you a hater who thinks he excels because of his teammates? Or are you a truther because you think he is the perfect quarterback for the Shanahan system and he has more talent than the public perceives? Whatever your opinion on him as a thrower is, I bet you didn't think, oh, well, he's a good running quarterback. The line that I'm about to tell you indicates that. But if you look at the matchup at hand and the tendencies in these specific spots, I think the best value in the game is backing Brock Purdy on the ground. On the surface, Brock Purdy was over 5.5 rushing yards in 10 of his last 19 games with a median of 7 yards. So if we just look at that, the line doesn't really have that much value, even though he has been over this in 53% of games, and his median is about 1.5 yards above this. But again, not much value if we just look at the surface. But let's look a little bit deeper. Through Purdy's first 5 games last year, he only mustered 25 rushing yards. 20 of those yards came in week 1. Maybe that continues, but he wasn't a rushing threat early. However, from week 6 to the end of the regular season, he started taking off at a much higher rate. He averaged 11 rushing yards per game in that span, and he even ran way more in the playoffs. In 3 playoff games, which were his last 3 games, he averaged 24.66 rushing yards per game. This guy can run the ball. He routinely ran the ball at Iowa State. He had over 85 attempts in each of his first 4 seasons there. I don't know why I said first. All of his 4 seasons, he had at least 85 attempts on the ground or more. So we know that he can run, but something about being in San Francisco also, I don't know why, makes him take off more often than when he was on the road last season. In 8 home games last year, he averaged 15.9 rushing yards per game compared to 6.7 rushing yards on the road. Over his final 6 home games, he averaged 23.7 rushing yards per game. The Jets are also a really good matchup for rushing quarterbacks. They're among the elite in terms of pressure rate and expect to be the same this season. It often forces quarterbacks out of the pocket because of their fantastic secondary. Quarterbacks are forced to run because there's nobody open, right? Think about it. Brock Purdy's getting pressured up the middle. He rolls out. Sauce Gardner is on Brandon Ayuk. Debo Samuel is covered. George Kittle is covered. So what does he do? He tucks and runs. And he did that a lot at the end of last season, especially in week one, as the 49ers kind of get the kinks out of their offense. I see more opportunities than usual for Brock Purdy to tuck and run, even at he wasn't established as a runner early on in his career last year. But in week one, he did run for 20 yards. On average, when Purdy does run the ball, he averages 3.8 yards per carry. It's not that great. But the Jets ranked in the bottom third of the league in rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks last season, allowing quarterbacks to average 4.3 yards per carry and 18.3 rushing yards per game. This is a line that nobody is thinking about because the last thing you think when you think about Brock Purdy is his ability to run the ball. This is probably the last prop on anybody's mind because of all the star players in this game. Rodgers' return, Breece Hall, who we have for Offensive Player of the Year, Garrett Wilson, and on the 49ers side, they have so many players. So I think the last prop that anybody is thinking about is Brock Purdy over 5.5 rushing yards. This line is simply too low. This line is if the sports books looked at his median throughout the entire year and just posted 5.5, because that's about what it should be if we just average all the games together. But when we look at what he's done at home, we look at what he did towards the tail end of the season, we look at how the Jets are a bottom three or bottom third of the league matchup against rushing quarterbacks in a good way. Brock Purdy is going to get over 5.5 rushing yards in this game. I bet it minus 115, 1.15 units to win 1 unit. If you can only find 6.5, that's fine too. Anything under 7 is a definite play for me. And in reality, I should be laddering this play. But in week one, I have a rule. We don't go crazy on these bets because, of course, anything could happen. Maybe there's a new scheme. Maybe he doesn't run once. But if we're looking at last year's statistics, we're looking at a trend upward in terms of Purdy tucking it and running it. We're looking at trends where quarterbacks are routinely doing that against the Jets. I'm pretty confident Brock Purdy goes at least 6 rushing yards, and I think his upside, he's got 20 in the bag. So if you want to ladder it, I won't stop you. For me personally, I'm just laying the juice on over 5.5 rushing yards. So if you appreciated that breakdown, I appreciate you coming and watching this video. If you could hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, because on this channel, you're going to find all of my NFL best bets for the rest of the 2024 season and beyond. And I hope we went 5-0 on Sunday. What if we won this one too? Why not us?